Like and subscribe right now, or else this will be in your bed tonight. r/ask Reddit by Planet Reddit. What's way more dangerous than most people think? Driving tired, sleepy. Man, I've done a full shift driving hundreds of miles, getting in and out the car for hours and filling in the reports. The worst one was I had like 2 hours sleep the previous night, and at the end of my shift I thought I saw UFO. I was absolutely convinced. Turns out it was the moon. The dangerous part of drowsy driving is nobody really takes it very seriously. It's not like a cop will test you on breathalyzer or something, so most people will ignore it. It takes a split second to fall asleep while dreaming that you are awake and still driving and end up killing innocent people. It's the same as DUI. Can you imagine a cop pulling you over and starting to read from the 1982 Uniform Commercial Code? Your head starts to nod and you get cuffed. Alright, I'm taking you in. You haven't had enough sleep. Bites from other human beings are actually really dangerous due to infection rates. A mouse once bit my sister. My mom bit me once and then forced me to place ice on the bite mark bare skin for 3 days to make it heal faster. Edit. Not 3 days straight, but multiple times a day for 3 days. People know that rip currents are dangerous, but don't think about them as a real threat often enough. I'm from Florida. My whole entire life I was taught to swim parallel to shore when stuck in a rip current. They teach it in schools. There are commercials about it. The signs say it. You'd think it would be ingrained. But what does my grown behind do the first time I got sucked into a rip current? Panicked my behind off and almost drowned. I got stuck in one as a kid and I never knew about the parallel swimming. I was alone while it took me, but somehow I instinctively knew I had to swim that way to get out. I ended up around 1 mile where I was. Shit as scary as uck. Grew up swimming in the ocean and had swimming lessons since I was in diapers. Have always been a strong swimmer and confident in the water. When I was a young teenager I got caught in a rip current. I quickly realized what was happening as I was swimming as hard as I could toward shore and was still going in the wrong direction. Even though I was a strong swimmer, I panicked. I was alone in the water and thankfully composed myself. Regardless of ability, it's still pretty terrifying. Towing a stuck car with a chain. There is a list of people who have died from having the chain come through the back window and kill them. If there's one thing I'll always stress, it's a real tow rope. Endless uses. Not that expensive. You'll probably only ever need to buy one. They won't smash your skull in if they break. This detail is something I'd never have thought of. Clutch guy over here. A few years back I was pulling some bushes out of the ground. My kids begged to sit in the back of my Jeep, which had the tailgate up. My wife got mad that I said no. Despite explaining what could happen, they sat back, giving me the sink eye. But the next bush popped out of the ground and slammed into the backseat where the kids wanted to sit. I got hugs for days. Listening to loud music using earbuds, or really any headphones. Having permanent hearing damage sucks. M40 with the hearing of 70-year-old. Tinnitus, constant ringing in both ears. Certain music can make it worse and drive me absolutely batty. Can't hear people at restaurants and bars. What? Protect your ears. Edit. Just had a bonus feature. All ringing goes away. Then a singular tone comes up in one ear at double the normal volume. Edit 2. Woke up to 146 replies. Yes, tried the hands over ears drumhead thingy to no avail. Yes, headphones. In car. Loud bars and heavy metal concerts have destroyed it. Edit 3. Remembered 2 things. 1. Probably got tinnitus from Metallica 2004 concert. I remember having a phone sales job where it was painful to be on the phone for 3 days. 2. Was applying for medical studies to make some summer cash. Got my hearing tested for 1. Already had a high frequency loss. I was 22. You have about 11 years on me as well. Glad to hear it just gets worse. I'm 20. Always hear a ring. I don't listen to loud music but have been to a few concerts. Sucks. I feel your pain. Attempting to change garage door springs without knowing what you're doing can kill you. This is crazy, I had no idea. Me being cheap would probably try to do it on my own. Thanks for saving my life. Garage springs are under intense tension and can seriously uck you up if you don't know what you're doing. Always get a pro for garage repair. Not to worry yet, my flat is probably the same size as most garages. Moose, Bigger threat to people up here than bears. Edit. Clarification: by up here I mean Canada. Another clarification: we have a lot of moose and not a lot of grizzly bears. The more common bears, black bears, while still shouldn't be provoked, are a lot smaller and more timid than grizzlies. Not to mention everyone knows to be afraid of bears. They're large carnivores. Most people don't know to be afraid of moose. Moose were so underrated as a threat for so long that they've become a bit overrated. I've had Reddit arguments with people suggesting they're on par with grizzlies. I've been close enough to both animals in the wild to smell them. Grizzlies are a shit ton scarier than a moose. Moose are just a lot more common and people don't take them seriously as a threat, both of which increase the chances of a bad encounter. Edit. To be clear, by on par, I'm referring to an attack situation. People saying that an attacking moose is on par with an attacking grizzly. No, it's not. Edit. Okay, I've thought this through. Risk is probability x impact, right? All I'm talking about here is impact. Moose definitely win on the probability side of things, because of how common they are and how unpredictable they can be, and because grizzlies generally want to be left alone. So I'm clarifying my initial comment. In terms of risk equals PXI, moose are probably a greater risk overall, because there are like 20 of them for every grizzly in North America, and they're more likely to attack. But if the only question is which one is more devastating to be attacked by, a moose or a grizzly, I'm definitely going with the grizzly. Moose yearlings are also a lot stupider than bears. Every spring there are a ton of accidents in northern Sweden because of young moose doing stupid shit. A moose once bit my sister. Being knocked unconscious. Lots of popular media makes it seem like a minor thing that an average person can shrug off after a short period. In reality, if you are ever knocked out, then you have suffered brain damage. It's possible there might not be any lasting effects, but it's a serious injury and you 100% need to see a doctor if it ever happens to you. Just being knocked in the head in general. People are so cavalier in fights. I think that movies have people being hit with the butt of a gun, a shovel and being okay. I'm not a doctor or nurse, but I'm pretty sure simple bumps and knocks can have potential damage. The human being is fragile as fuck. Edit. My last statement is merely hyperbole. I'm well aware of how resilient the human body is. Comment reminds me of this video that made the rounds in the early days of video sites. Guy, teenage kid, is sitting on a retaining wall and another guy runs up behind him and hits him with what appears to be full force on the back top of the head with a shovel. I think of that video often when CTE is discussed nowadays. Try not to be unconscious for too long. It's like super bad for you. Eating a lot of spinach. Believe it or not, people have had kidney failure from 3 spinach smoothies in a day. This is due to the higher levels of oxalic acid. Ugh, now all night long I'll be wondering if I'm spinach poisoned. Popeye's gonna die soon. Bluto is actually winning the long game by letting Popeye slowly succumb to eating too much spinach. Blocking your nose when you sneeze. Though it's rare, you can damage blood vessels in your eyes and nose. You can rupture your eardrum. And you can even have an aneurysm. Okay, I'll stop doing that. Dad sneeze equals healthy sneeze. My husband when he sneezes. Not wearing sunblock. You reminded me of tanning beds I despise then and think they should be illegal. People will go in them completely unprotected and get blasted with UV. All in the name of vanity. It's ridiculous. True, and those tanning bed goggle lines look weird. Life on the road would be safer if 5-year mandatory retests were a thing, and not just for seniors. Living alone. If you get seriously injured or ill at home and you're unable to reach a phone, your chances of survival are much lower than if you have at least one other person in the household. Had an older employee who lived with her son. She didn't turn up for work. Very common to no show no call at our workplace. Just not for her. I had a weird feeling after she wasn't picking up when I called. Waited a few hours and decided to go knock on her door. No answer, but her car was there. I phoned the non-emergency police line and they showed up and broke in. She was found in her bedroom on the floor completely out of it, and turns out she had a very bad case of meningitis. She was admitted to the hospital for a month and they told her if she had been found by her son by the time he returned home from work, 4 hours after we found her, she most likely would have been dead. Trust your weird gut feelings. You are awesome. Every manager I've ever had would have let me die. Whoa, props to you. I'm not sure I would follow through in that situation, although I hope I would. A kind of random one. But don't eat uncooked slugs or snails. They can have parasites that will make you paralyzed and eventually kill you. An Australian kid died a couple of years ago from it. An awful way to go. Snarled it. Damn it, where's my gold? Gimme or I'll beat you so hard for the rest of your life you've got to limp it. I think I'm safe from this one. True story, as a 14-year-old I played a game of tug of war with a large number of people and the rope snapped and whipped back and hit me, leaving me with 3 fractures in my hands. 3 surgeries and lots of PT later. I'm happy to report no nerve damage, but I'm never playing that game again. Deep cuts on your fingertips. They're called felons and can infect your bloodstream. Clean them out, and if you see a red line traveling up your arm, get yourself to the ER immediately. My neighbor almost died from this when she cut her finger on her violin string. Edit. Removed my advice about changing tires. My main point was don't go under your car if the tire's off without a jack stand. But that should be obvious. My old roommate got a cut on his finger from a broken glass in a sanitation sink, bartender, and was complaining that it was sore and swollen. I had heard about the if you see a line going up your arm, you need to get to a hospital thing and ask to see his arm. Sure enough, he had a red line almost to his elbow. He got to the ER and caught it in time. A close friend and co-worker of mine died recently of a blood infection. We're not sure what caused it, but what we do know is that he was, seemingly, fine one day and gone the next. This kind of thing is more serious than people know. Disclaimer. With the type of infection he had, there were no red lines outlining his veins or anything, so don't count on that in all cases. There are a lot of things that can temporarily make you bacteremic, the state of having bacteria in your blood, but most of us the infection won't actually take. And then there are certain bacteria that are just better at seeding to the rest of the body through the blood once they get into one spot. But yeah, most commonly it's just people with a fever seeming way more out of it than usual. True lethargy, having their color just look off, high heart rates, high fevers, high respiratory rates. It's a bit of a you have to see it kind of thing. But they just look sick, but then a doctor feels nervous looking at them way. Palm trees. They are so much heavier than they look, and their branches can kinda just fall off without warning. Aussie here. Beware a eucalypt on a hot day in the middle of a drought. Eucalypts shed branches when stressed. Usually it's small clusters, but sometimes you'll jump 6 feet to hear a massive crash outside and see a huge mother ucker on the lawn. The amount of times we've almost had one land on our car. So in Australia even the trees are after ripper well-being. Hiking in Arizona heat. Grand Canyon too. You can go down a lot quicker than up. We hiked our 2-hour in the Grand Canyon about 10 years ago north Cape up to Bright Angel. We were stopping to rest at Cottonwood Campground. The next water station was broken and 2-hour hikers coming the opposite way had to be given saline intravenously at the medic hut. There was no posting about the water being out. Thankful with the knowledge that our next planned water source was gone, we were able to load up extra before heading out after our rest. I drank 9 L of water that day and only peed once. ETA. Wow, this blew up. I'll try to respond to all questions. As a disclaimer, please do not attempt our 2-hour unless you're a seriously experienced hiker. My husband and I have years of backcountry hiking experience and ultralight gear, and it's still in our top 3 toughest hikes we've done. Always, I repeat, always bring too much water when hiking. Newts. Many newts, such as the rough-skinned newt, produce a toxin that is 10 times more potent than cyanide. They are only dangerous if you handle them and then don't wash your hands afterwards, or if you eat the newt. There have been multiple reports over the years of someone eating a newt as part of a hazing ritual for a college fraternity, and then dying. The toxin that some newts produce can kill you inside of 15 minutes because the toxins block the sodium receptors in your nerves, essentially stopping your brain from communicating with your heart. Scary stuff. TLDR. If you handle a newt, wash your hands. And never put a newt in your mouth or you will die. Edit. Did not think this would blow up this much. Thank you to the Redditors that provided so much information about tetrodotoxin. To see it in action, Check out this video from Nat Geo, YouTube link. How did Miss Trunchbull live? My childhood is a lie. A lot of household chemicals. Mix the wrong stuff and it's game over. I'll seriously hurt. Ammonia and bleach is a common one, I think. I used far too much ammonia last time I was cleaning and I thought I was going to pass out. Ammonia is not great to inhale. Save it for deep cleaning like the stovetop and then leave the house for a few hours. Otherwise you're better off using all-purpose cleaners or white vinegar. Also don't mix vinegar and hydrogen peroxide. Edit. You can do so but just be aware that you will create peracetic acid. Cat bites. Pasteurella multocida, nasty business. Gotta clean those bites and scratches for sure. Electricity. People seem to have little understanding or respect for it. BBQing indoors. Edit. I'd like to expand to running generators indoors. 2. Are you meaning with like charcoal and stuff? If so, who does that? I should also mention and to expand to running a generator indoors. Few years ago in Germany a tragedy happened when a girl celebrated her 18th birthday along with her friends and her brother inside an allotment. Her father ran a generator for electricity inside the hut in a room next to them. The makeshift exhaust to the window eventually collapsed. The next morning he drove by to pick them up. They were all cold dead. Apparently one family put their barbecue indoors to keep warm. All had, including children, had carbon monoxide poisoning. Texting while driving. Put your ucking phone away, you uck. Shit, reading all of this and wondering how am I alive and still have teeth. Blunt kitchen knives. It may seem obvious but they're more dangerous than sharp kitchen knives. A falling knife doesn't have a handle. Let it fall and step away. This. Seen too many bad gashes from people either trying to catch a falling knife or not getting out of the way. Yup, you are much more likely to slip and cut yourself with a blunt knife. I'll add to this and say don't get those fancy, durable glass chopping boards. Get a nice silicone plastic one with a texture surface. It won't look as pretty after a bit of use but is much safer. Wood's also okay but I personally prefer silicone plastic. Holding a sneeze in. There have been cases of ruptured brain aneurysms and throats, as well as collapsed lungs. No recorded deaths though, according to the good old Google. Edit. Thank you for the cake day wishes, you wonderful people. Edit 2. Grammar. Sneezing is a dangerous too. I fractured a rib caused by a sneeze. Dislocated a shoulder. Apparently shoulder blades aren't supposed to clap together. Hoda thunk it. Or other hikers. There's a trail I like to run and it's fairly narrow and flanked by poison oak. So people have to kind of stand aside to let others pass. Since you can't comfortably get around someone who's actively walking. Anyway, the amount of people I've come up on who don't hear me because they're listening to music is kind of crazy to me. IDK how they can feel safe being out in nature not hearing anything around them. And of course they can't hear me when I talk to them. And so I always scare the bejesus out of them when I touch their shoulder to ask if I can pass by. Join our community Discord, link in description. Mosquitoes. I bet the mosquito must have felt like a champion. Knockout. I would have, though most people would know the dangers of mosquitoes as they are the biggest killers of humans in history. Tylenol. About 500 people die in the US every year from overdose. Edit. The same as paracetamol, acetaminophen, Affirmath, Mapap, Feverall, Farbital. This. The safe daily dose and what it takes to start causing organ failure are extremely close to each other and people take it like candy. Glade plugins. My childhood friend's house burned down because of one of them. Also, a plug-in battery charger burned down a customer's garage. Coconuts. Coconuts kill 300 times more people a year than sharks since only 16 attacks occur per year and 1 death every 2 years while coconuts kill 150 a year. From falling from trees. Imagine if of all the ways to die you die from a coconut falling from a tree. That's honestly sad. If you saw a coconut brain someone on the sidewalk and it made a little hollow bop sound, do you think you'd be able to pretend it wasn't funny? This is awful and hilarious. You'd never unhear it. Not getting enough sleep. Hippos kill more people than lions do. Breaking up with someone even when there was no domestic violence in their relationship. My daughter was killed by her ex-boyfriend for breaking up with him. There are many men and women killed for this same reason. Oh god, I'm so sorry. One that springs to mind for me is flushing your sinuses, that is, putting water up your nose. If done with straight tap water, brain eating amoeba can kill you. Excuse me, what? Google neti pot. Even if it seems gross or barbaric, as a person who gets terrible sinus infections, they can work wonders, but you have to do it right and use sterile water. Edit to add. Breathe through your mouth but don't swallow. If it feels like you're about to drown, you're doing it right. Not taking antibiotics to kill a sinus infection. Kinda seems obvious, but 13 Wyoming didn't think so, and that's how I ended up almost dead. Yeppa, I was probably around the same age. Just got over being sick, so I didn't think much of feeling kind of tired and junky. I was in computer class when I started to get audio hallucinations and feeling really lightheaded. Stood up to tell the teacher and collapsed. Any ignored unknown infection is dangerous, but sinus infections are on another level. Roosters are DS. Make sure you're on their good side. Mine has bitten and scratched me more times than I can count. Cocks are DS. Not getting regular checkups. I almost died because I had an internal hemorrhage that was slowly killing me. I was so depleted of iron and blood that the nurses thought my vitals were written in wrong because I should have been dead. I needed 3 pints of blood in one sitting. Having unprotected sex. I have a couple friends that are girls that have had sex with over 100 people each, and neither of them make the guys they are sleeping with use condoms or even suggest it. That is horrifying to me. Like playing Russian roulette with your life and future. Wild animals. Most people know that they're dangerous, but they don't think about how dangerous they are. An example of this would be something small like a rat. They carry diseases and can destroy stuff if not taken care of. Rabies is the worst way to go. I was shocked when I found out that rabies has a 100% death rate when left untreated. Fucking with any animal. A squirrel can and will lock you up. Edit. You furries are ucked. Blowing into an orifice, butthole, etc. can cause an air embolism. Excuse me, what? There goes my Fridays. The ocean. Both for swimming, surfing, etc. and for boating. It is 100% not just a big swimming pool or lake. Human beings are in a completely alien environment as soon as they step off the sand or dock, and our perceptions about how things ought to play out no longer matter. The ocean is completely indifferent to human reasoning and even to human mortality. I'm teaching a good friend to sail right now, and he's naively ambitious as far as sailing long distances in a very small boat. I wasn't joking at all when I chided him by saying, "You haven't been scared enough times yet." The reason I'm so conservative and around the ocean is because I've developed a healthy, totally reasonable fear of it over the course of my life. Anybody who isn't a little afraid of the ocean hasn't spent enough time around it. Source: Tug Captain, lifelong surfer, and lifelong recreational sailor. Please, if you're going out on a boat, make sure you at least have a first aid kit, a fire extinguisher, a working knowledge of how to call for help on a VHF radio, an anchor to stop you from drifting into rocks if the engine fails, and PFDs for everyone. Situations you've never even imagined can arise so quickly on even a short outing. The phrase "we've always done it this way." Mold, it can be poisonous, make you hallucinate, and eating it can seriously mess with your body. Eating raw cashews. Low self-esteem. Reddit mods who manipulate information. Water currents. Riptides in the ocean and eddy currents in streams. We have some river canyons with signs describing all of the ways you can die in the river, and people still die swimming there. Drinking alcohol. Not even getting drunk. I have cirrhosis mostly because I love beer, whiskey, and food. I now have incredible pain, anxiety, and have to take meds that are awful. The only fix is a transplant. The catch is, you have to be almost dying to get a chance at one. Enjoy. Not every day. Not too much. Avoid the binge. Good people. Almost everything that today we get to take for granted as routine. Infections. Easily treated right, not with antibiotic resistant bacteria and or new viruses. Anesthesiology and painkillers. Incredible, but with fatal consequences if mishandled. Driving. Look up stats or talk to the paramedics and other first responders with stories. Trades jobs. If you aren't trained in that particular trade, up on all the required safety protocols, or in a situation where the company isn't as stringent as they could be, lots of people get hurt or worse. It is one of several reasons we have a day of remembrance for workers killed on the job. Childbirth. Modern medicine helps a lot, but there is a reason some cultures consider it like going into battle. Household repairs and cleaning supplies. I seem to remember that ladders, stairs etc. resulted in a lot of accidents. Many children get poisoned from unsecured cleaners. Adult safety and childproofing a home. As others have said, things under tension or heavy things that can drop from a height. One of the reasons logging is so dangerous. War. Not that we think it is in any way safe, but likely many of us on Reddit haven't had direct experience with just how horrible it can be. That is why videos and documentaries are still so captivating on the subject, because the danger was more extreme than we often grasped at first. Currently relevant. Disruptions to farms. If farms don't get planted, watered, weeded, harvested on time, eventually, someone may not get to eat. Basically, we have tried over time to reduce the everyday things that are dangerous to us, with more or less success, and sometimes, with unintended side effects, like the big one. Carbon emissions equals more dangerous than most people think. Edit. I remembered confined spaces, with little air exchange and low oxygen. They can suffocate a whole series of people who go into them, one after another, victim and rescuer, if they don't have the correct PPE. Oh, and rotating machinery can seriously mess you up. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for 3 videos a day.